records all over the place. For 238 players were today. We raised a ton of money for charity. The raffle is still in my hip and on a fanny pack, and we have, I don't even know, I haven't even counted it yet, but it's impressive. We had an amazing raffle and a really, really, really good time.
You're making it sound like everything's done.
No, I know. We still got magic to go. We still got magic to play. We still got magic to do. So I haven't done one of these actually live in person, kind of streaming and commentating. This is kind of cool, actually.
Yeah, it's kind of fun just to be next to somebody that you actually do the commentary.
Yes. As opposed to the disembodied voice on the internet. There we go. All right, Nathan and Mike got this matchup going. I mean, this is a classic Burn versus Dreadnought matchup, and I think we know that the Dreadnought is pretty heavily favored in this matchup. Is that right?
Yeah, certainly. I know one of the draws of when I looked at considering playing mono blue Stifle Knot for this tournament. One of the big draws was the matchup against Burn. The deck, especially game one, doesn't have a lot of interaction, and this is only even really amplified by the fact that I'm assuming the players know what they're playing against at this point.
Yeah, the deck lists aren't open, but the scouting has happened. These guys have been sitting next to each other for the better half of the day. So
you have enough connections in this type of tournament that your friends are okay,
yeah, especially these two guys. So Mike Coyle is from the Duress crew, who's people have heard of in the Worcester, Mass area, and Nate's in the the Philly, Pennsylvania area, and he's has some good connections with that squad as well. So each has a good representation from everybody. So they're good to go. So and we. Sorry about that.
Oh, I was say, so on that note, Mike is really incentivized to find a turn 2 Dreadnought.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
Knowing that it would resolve because Burn is not going to interact with it on the stack, and Burn does not have a way of removing it, barring throwing a gazillion burn spells at it.
No, they just got to win. They hope Coyle stumbles and then go for it. But notably, Nate is on the play as the slightly higher seed as the 6. And he does actually have a green splash in this Burn deck.
Okay.
Which I think he had when he was in the Spring Fling. Yeah.
Yes.
So I wonder how much that's been developed. I'm sure there's naturalizes of some sort, in maybe in the board, maybe in main. I'm actually not even sure. So that'll be interesting to find out.
Yeah, and so as we kind of alluded to, this matchup definitely favors the Stifle Knot, especially with the Burn deck being on the play. There are sequences that the Burn deck can race the Dreadnought. Yeah. I have seen it before, and so it just kind of means that everything needs to line up pretty well for Nathan, and then Mike needs not to have the key pieces of interaction like the dazes and the foils on time. Yep. So it is possible for the Burn deck to win game one, but it is very likely that the Stifle Knot will take this first game.
Well, right now, Nathan's got to be pretty excited that, his opponent didn't, had to shuffle that portent. So that probably means good things, that his hand's not great, or that, he didn't find what he was looking for. Didn't find the Dreadnought most likely. So, I mean, Nate's got a beautifully foiled out deck. I'm not a biggest fan of foils in general, but the old ones, and when you do it all the way, it's pretty sweet.
I do like the Shooting Star.
Yeah, the Shooting Star is really classy. It's like the more you know. The more you know about beautiful Magic cards. All right, Seal of Fire, one of my faves. Just I don't know. That's just one I grew up with, just from, what was that, Nemesis? I think just a classic, and just, okay. Shock or Seal of Fire? Which one's better?
I've always been a Seal of Fire fan.
Me too.
But I think they're very similar. The corner cases are
the creation of a sub game of just when you can just proactively put out the seal. Is really important. I understand why people play Shock in the the bauble versions of Dreadnought. Of Burn, but I think overall it's just Seal is a superior card.
Yeah, using your mana efficiently is a really key part of playing the red deck, and Seal of Fire makes it a lot easier to do that as compared to Shock. Not that, Shock still has a lot of flexibility given that it's an instant, but the Seal is nice to just be one and done, and then you don't have to worry about it.
Okay, the magical three mountains potentially for. What are we gonna do?
And more importantly, that we don't see a turn 2 Stifle Knot from Mike. So,
but it probably means there's some sort of counterspell in Mike's hand.
Yeah, if you're, I guess, do we know the players mulliganed? I guess that wasn't something.
I don't think they did. I think this fired up pretty quickly, so we might have missed that.
Yeah,
we can't look at their hands, can't try to count the cards. But, as probably I'm sure it's been said, this is an open area. So this is just a kind of a precaution. It's, this isn't a professional outfit, as good as this stream has been, and I'll credit Will for that, absolutely. But, there's some more things to learn as we keep growing here at LobsterCon.
When I was spectating, I'm like, oh man, we don't get to see the hand cams. And then I thought, I'm like, we have people who have been drinking all day, and we have it up on a big screen. We definitely would get some reactions that would give the players a little bit of knowledge of what happened.
Don't play that. He's got the counter.
Yeah, so it's probably the best for the integrity of the tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, the old float 2 gush. See, now, a lot of people will tell you don't want to do that unless you can end up with 2 islands afterwards. But what is this? So he'll just end up with 1 island after this, right? Because he hasn't played his land drop yet.
I think that's true. Yeah, I think on Mike's turn where he is going to play 1 more. So it's either that. I mean, he doesn't have any other lands to play, and so like it's not as big of a deal if you as compared if you just don't have a land drop at all. You only setting yourself back essentially 1 land drop is less punishing, or it could mean that Mike has a really strong hand and he's going to be committing a Dreadnought to the board.
He's got to commit it now, I would think, because he's still got the 1 floating, and he used 1 for the ops. But I just don't think he has it because he's just digging so hard. What are we looking at? Sorry.
Jared's reading chat.
I did it. Someone just said something about me. Whoever random guy at 1007 is, you're welcome. You know what I mean? I'm happy to do it. Obviously, my buddy Dave Firthbard was a big part of this. We joke. Dave doesn't know anything about Premodern, but he's continually runs along with me. He does all the work, most of it. Runs the biggest Premodern events. It's kind of funny, but it's been great. So I like Nate's spot right here. This feels pretty comfortable. Okay. By the way, hello to Kevin Costarino, Robin Lund. I have not seen or talked to you in a while. I believe you're a new father. Congratulations. Just congrats on that. I will be joining you in December. My son will be born then. So just good to see you in the chat again, buddy.
So Nathan going for a big turn with the ball lightning here, but Mike had the foil at the ready.
Yes, sorry. Again, I got distracted by the chat. I've seen someone talking about people I haven't seen in a long time. Yeah, foil keeps them in the game for sure. All right. Oh, that seal wasn't going anywhere else. Let's be honest. But
actually, it is advantageous to use it now because there might draw more redundant copies of Stifle.
Absolutely.
So it's one of the few times where I think it's better to use a Seal of Fire right away as compared to saving it.
And perfectly put two in the graveyard for the Lava Man. And here's another one. I'm trying to figure out how many cards Nate has. I mean, second Lava Man's probably not what he wanted there. I mean, it still attacks for 1, so it's going to do something here.
Yeah, so one thing about this game is we haven't had that consistent source of recurring damage. Usually in the form of Jackal Pup is what the slide deck wants to see, but Mog Fanatic is kind of the backup. The Grim Lavamancer has been in play for the game, but the initial pressure from recurring sources of creatures hasn't been a lot of pressure. So it's been a lot of burn that we've seen from Nathan. And so now Mike is getting closer to that point where you think you're kind of getting scared. So, and remember, for Mike to win, he's going to have to attack twice with a 12-12. So as much as we talked up that the Stifle Knot deck is just going to roll over in this first game, I think things are looking pretty good for the red deck right now.
Speaking of that Stifle.
Yeah, sorry, I'm jumping on. This is Will, guys. I've seen the comment in chat about a possible extra card being written. I'm going to reiterate it again when I said in the stream. Unfortunately, being here where we are, what we're doing, we're not in a great position to police that. The players need to be able to police and do their things. Nobody's trying to do anything weird. If an extra card was drawn off a portent early in this game, there's just no way we can quickly stop it and get to it. It's just is what it is. So I just wanted to, again, make that clear. We, as commentators, cannot judge that, cannot get involved. And if it happens, it's unfortunate, but I don't ever think it's intentional.
All right, so we had a Fire Blast get cast, and then was that a Grim Lavamancer activation that was stifled, I think, to keep Mike alive, pretty much?
I think that's the best they could do. Oh, he's done. Yeah, if he wasn't playing a Dread, I mean, these Lavamancers still attack, you know what I mean? And he's got 1 card in his hand, so... yeah, I mean, this looks like Nate's going to take down game 1, which is a surprise. It just seems like it did not excuse me, yeah, I said Nate. It just did not come together for Mike this time. Untap. Attack for 2.
I don't even see if there's a situation like I don't know what Mike would be able to do to get out of this because
No, he's too far behind.
yeah, you have to cast a Dreadnought and then attack with it twice, and I think there's just enough damage on the table.
Nate's got shock. There we go. All right.
Well, let me just wipe this egg off my face, given that we talk about it. So Nate is able to take this first game in this matchup. So
yeah, I just think that the deck just didn't work out for Mike this time. It just with the Claude Goat Ranger. It's
been a long day.
It's been a long day. Is right. The Claude Goat Ranger. That's pretty good. Anyway, we're gonna go to the sideboards, which I think is that. I mean, my guess. So Mike is playing the blue-black version, which means any creature removal he might have could be like in the form of Vendetta, which could do him damage.
Mm-hmm.
Or, I mean, Smother's good too, don't get me wrong. I mean, he's probably not playing Contagion because he doesn't have enough black cards. But he could always play like a Chill and obviously, blue and a Hydroblast, So, I mean, there's a lot of options that can be coming in for this.
yeah, I would say compared to like the blue-white list, I think the black cards don't line up as well against the burn list in
Correct.
particular. But even in general, I think in a blue-white Stifle Knot list, I don't think your sideboard cards are really geared against specifically the red
No, 'cause
matchup.
it's such a good matchup,
Other than a
usually.
card like Hydroblast, which would be in both of these lists.
Absolutely.
So I don't think Mike really loses anything for being blue-black, but he doesn't really gain anything. But this is not really a matchup, I think, that's Stifle
Well,
Knot.
like we said, Nate has the green splash, and so he's getting naturalizes, which are less efficient than an overload in this matchup, let's say. But it also gets around the red card hate of either Chill or Blue Blast. So that's something that's interesting. It is more expensive, but it is more elusive, if you will.
Yeah, I'll say like it is interesting if you're talking about like a card like Chill, where if the Chill doesn't come down, then you're worried about like a bunch of creatures coming initially, and then even if the Chill comes down, then if they have the naturalized, then you still kind of haven't solved the problem. So it's an interesting tension from Mike's perspective of kind of have to fight both sides.
Indeed. So sideboarding, for the red deck, takes out, I would say, Curse Scroll. That's not doing anything here. Those are the biggest ones. Curse Scroll, Vortex seems fine, but it's not like you don't really want it to go long, so it's not like that kind of matchup, so that probably comes out. It's been a while since I played this matchup specifically. I played it at the beginning of the year, and I haven't played it in a little while. I'm also really tired and sweaty, and just kind of like, it's been a day. Can't wait to get home and take a nice shower.
I think I guess I don't know Nathan's exact list, but maybe Seal of Fire is probably one of the
Probably
lower
one of the weaker
performers.
cards.
Just one.
Yeah, if you're upgrading it to a Pyro / Red Blast,
Yeah.
that's just better, right?
Yeah.
So that's an easy upgrade.
I guess we can kind of try and take a peek as he's sideboarding right now.
Yeah.
I didn't see the cards.
I didn't see
so
much either.
Blame the angle, blame the foils. We can blame anything,
Yes.
and we will.
We will. We'll blame it all. Blame it all. How was your day today? How did you do personally?
Well, I started off the day 1 and 2, and
Okay.
I finished 5 and 3. So,
All right.
though the last round I had lost, so like it was kind of like a roller coaster of. I felt like real good when I was X and 2 going in the last round. Not that I'm unhappy like going 5 and 3, especially starting off 1 and 2, but
Yeah.
I feel like 6-2 feels like.
You're on Goblins today, right?
Yes, I played Red Green Goblin, so the first time me not playing the Rock here at
No,
LOBSTERCON.
first time at
so-
LOBSTERCON, no Rock. I don't know if anyone played the Rock. I didn't see it at all. When I was walking around the tables, I can't wait to get into the numbers and do like the metagame breakdown. But I definitely saw a lot of Dreadnought, a lot of red, fair amount of Goblins. Replenish was around for sure, and so was the Oath deck. but I mean, we had the green-red oath in the top 8, but it wasn't like it was omnipresent and crushing everything. But even Stasis actually had a day. We'll be happy to hear. It was definitely in the top tables for most of the day. And I think the wheels fall off at the end for two or three of the pilots.
So just from you walking around, what was like the biggest surprise from you seeing something, whether something was a lot of or less of that you thought, or just one deck doing well? Was there anything that stood out?
I didn't see as much green-red Ponza Oath as I thought I was going to, honestly.
Okay.
I thought that was going to be significantly in the at the top tables, and it was not. It was very. It seems like I talked to one of the dress crew guys, and it's just like people were prepared for it. It just like it might be in the mid tables that I couldn't see. That I wasn't trying to dig into. So maybe it just didn't have a day. Ian obviously had a good run with it, going to the top 8 of this event. So there's nothing to shake a stick at, but
Elves had 2 in the top 8 for a long period.
yeah. Duress crew, leader Nick Mayo was 6-0 at one point, and unfortunately, kind of was not able to pull it through. But we were, there was definitely a good contingent of the room rooting for him. Just one of those great guys that you hope to see do well. But I think this top 8 is, definitely Dreadnought heavy, which is interesting, and blue heavy. And of course, not a black card in sight. Well, I guess blue black. Let's see if one actually gets cast during this top 8. Well, I'll be, maybe a duress at most. But I mean, he is a member of the duress crew, so he has to play a duress. So I guess they're representing well here.
Yeah, unlike the duress crew opponent that I played against last year, I'm like, oh, he's probably playing a duress deck, and then he was playing goblins, and I'm like,
yep, gotcha.
I was fooled.
You were totally fooled. What are you going to do? All right, definitely. So that looks like we're down to 6 for Nathan, is my guess. Is this a mulligan? I actually just kind of forgot about a second.
I think this is a mulligan from. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, this might just be the first cuts, actually.
All right.
I just
I'll make sure that we pay attention when if they put cards at the bottom. So.
Yeah. Here we go.
So how does this matchup change in terms of now that we have access to sideboard cards? Presumably, like there's cards that can deal with a Resolve Dreadnought or even prevent it from coming down. How does that change either what Mike does or what Nathan's going to do?
I mean, I don't think it changes too much. It's just it's going to take a little longer, or things are probably going to get interacted with a little bit faster. Basically, both decks just get more efficient. Is really what it comes down to, and obviously Nate gets actual removal. Right. For a Dreadnought that resolves.
So one card went to the bottom for Mike. I would say the biggest difference is Mike knowing that, or now has to worry about resolving a Dreadnought and keeping it in play. Like as before, it was
right before he didn't.
All he had to do was assemble it,
yeah.
and now there is another piece of the puzzle that he has to worry about. Mm-hmm. And given that the red deck is really good at pressuring your opponent, that could be something that he does have to worry about.
You know what I think is really funny is that Nate actually taps his fetch lands.
Well, I will say he was respecting the stifle, which
yes,
we do see.
There we go. We see it.
Yes, using the card as intended. It does have a tap symbol. Yes,
I know. I can't believe it. I just. Oh, yep. Here. Well, we're skipping a step there. Yeah, there we go. Okay.
So shortcutting a bit. The Pluto Delta.
But we knew what was supposed to happen. But this is huge, right?
So we're just getting real aggressive with this Dreadnought. So in a way, that stifle was kind of like a protection spell.
Absolutely it was.
And it was just a preemptive way of like, hope you don't have, like, if you had a red blast, like then that turn would be obviously really different. So
well, now he's off of naturalize or whatever for a turn, or shatter or shattering pulse or whatever.
Which is all you really need when you're attacking with a 12/12 turn.
Yeah, you just need to get in there twice. And now he's fully untapped with 3 lands and most likely a counter or 2. This is pretty dominating. I don't.
Okay.
It just shows it. Okay, here we go.
A little bit of confidence, yeah.
This is why you play Dreadnought, is that sometimes you just do that.
So that game was a little bit more what I was expecting in game 1.
Well, because he just jammed. I mean, actually, that stifle was really great. I think that was actually a smart move.
Yeah.
It helps that he had a second one available. You don't want to just use that for no reason, but like.
Well, if you're just equating to it as like a time walk kind of thing, but like when your deck does something super powerful, especially early in the game, then that effect is just. I mean, it's the difference between like Nathan being able to do anything in the game as compared to not doing anything the entire game.
Yeah,
so
this early, that was really important. You know, Dreadnought has those games, and you're just like, that is unfortunate. Like, it is one of those decks when you play against, and when sometimes they just have it all, and you're just like, well, they just had it all, you know, and it's just you feel bad about it. But sometimes they just only have one one answer to your answer, and it's really, then you can win those, you know, as long as you have two, you know. But it's just really, it can be really tough, you know, when they just quote have it all.
All right, so we're
Mike down to 6 again.
One thing to consider for the black knot that isn't inconsiderable is its access to an early Psychotog that gets around some of the hate.
Yeah, I don't know if the audience could hear, but Will was mentioning that there's the Psychotog potential for Mike out of a blue-black version, and that's gonna be a tough one for Red deck to beat also.
I think that's usually the biggest draw to the blue-black version is that you have a strong alternative win condition that you don't have to rely on an artifact creature, which is answered with a lot of cards in the format, the naturalizes, the seal cleansings, the swords of plowshares, where Psychotog only gets hit by swords in those cases.
I say we mentioned Psychotog and Tom Matelski enters the chat, so it's like he gets summoned in.
Yeah. Probably not a coincidence.
Yes, Robin, you just missed the fast Dreadnought. That's what you missed. All right, we're down to 6 for Mike, and we got Nate on the play. And again, Nate's hoping for a stumble. Yep, there we go.
I keep tilting my head over to try and get a better look at the cards in their hand.
Yeah.
We'll figure out something better for next year.
No, it's just more of just a reaction in terms of it feels like I'm in a physical world. So.
What is it?
And then just on the other side of the door.
All right, so leading things off with a Mog Fanatic, the Bloodstained Mire does get to resolve and find a mountain as compared to the last game when the Stifle prevented that.
Yeah, that's the play versus the draw there. Okay, well, untap. Draw. There we go.
So looking at Nathan's hand, I do think I see some green. So I think this Wooded Foothills might be looking for a forest.
The jig is up. Oh, he went past it there.
Okay.
Maybe we are just... Oh. I thought I saw a forest there also.
I did too, so...
Or maybe he's looking for the right mountain. He just passed it again. Oh, he wanted that forest. Okay. You got to get the signed foil forest. There we go. Okay. All right. That is going to make Mike have to think, right? You probably just can't jam because you got to worry about naturalize.
Yeah, and especially if your opponent is from the burn deck getting that green mana so early. It either means that they don't have other access to green and it's kind of what they're forced to do, or they definitely have the naturalize and you're going to have to respect it.
The problem is, other than naturalize, the force doesn't really cast a whole lot of his deck. It doesn't cast Ball Lightning. It doesn't, can't cast Jackal Pup. It can't cast more Mog Fanatics. It can cast Incinerate and
Curse Scroll or Sulfuric Vortex.
Yeah, and that's really about it. Okay.
All right, so Mike is going to cast an Impulse at the end of the turn, and Nathan's going to use this opportunity to deploy some burn spells. Looked like a couple of shocks. So Mike has fallen to 13, and with the 2 Mog Fanatics in play, Nathan will continue to chip away until Mike puts up any form of resistance.
So that reveals something about Nathan's hand, though. If he's tapping out in response to that impulse, he does not have a blast or an overload or anything in his hand.
Yeah, Will just made a good point. You're basically saying I don't have an overload. I don't have a red or blue red blast or a pyroblast. But again, I don't think Mike has.
I don't think that's necessarily true because you do have a naturalize in your hand, and you could just use the next turn to use that red blast to protect your naturalize.
That's a fair point. That's fair.
I also, but is shock a high value thing to counter?
No.
You know what I mean? I think you probably could still just leave it up and maybe not worry about it. They counter your shock. It's all right, well, I definitely got better cards. And speaking of foils on the other side, too, with the islands. Never bitten by the foil bug, but, again, I can appreciate them. All right, there's a portent. Yep. Mock Fanatic, the little engine that could. Keeps going.
One of the things I feel like a lot of players, if they just start playing Premodern and aren't familiar with the format, a lot of them don't respect Mock Fanatic very much.
No.
And then the more they play, they realize a lot of times it doesn't feel good to use removal spells on a 1/1 that can, on its way out, deal damage. But against the burn deck, it is often the correct play.
Because if you ignore it for too long, it just keeps, that 1/1 ends up doing 4, 5, 6 damage. It's just like, how's this still doing it? See, now that is a much higher value card.
All right, so Bolt is attempted, but the Hydroblast is at the ready for Mike.
But that's one less piece of protection that Mike has. So I really don't think Mike has the Dreadnought in his hand, is my guess. Yep. Yeah, he doesn't have it. He's still looking. That was main phase, right? Main phase opt?
Yes. So I think Mike is
here it
looking.
is.
Okay. I was to say he is. If he didn't have the Dreadnought, he is trying to figure out what is the critical turn of when he can. What is the last turn he can cast that Dreadnought and not die to burn spells?
Okay, important that this is a stifle and not a vision charm, because he can interact here. Gush and probably a foil is my guess. Bolt.
So
Okay.
one thing that this Bolt, casting that there, it opens Nathan to be vulnerable to Daze, but it looks like that's not what Mike has. Mike just has the foil anyways. So we do have an appearance of duress, but only getting discarded.
Only to be discarded to foil.
So
yeah, I think that might be all she wrote. Well, I mean, he is at 6. I mean, he can always top deck something.
And it's going to be a rough swing with that Dreadnought because he's going to get a crack back in for 2.
yeah.
2. I mean, this is a top deck away. I mean, it depends if Mike has a counter spell, then he wins. Ooh. Yeah, shows the counter spell again. Here it is. Hey, good games. All right. Mike got it down.
All right, so the Pyroblast from Nathan looked like it was just one turn too late.
One turn too late, exactly. One turn too late. Mike Coyle, he's getting some hoots from the local squad. The dress crew is well represented here.
Yes, they are.
Why don't we try to see if we can move the other match up? There's another. We have Cam Heiss on Replenish and Brian Selden on his Mono Blue Dreadnought with